supported his brother, ensuring Sam was never abandoned. The Ibrahim brothers had always been different. One ruled the nightlife, the other ruled the streets.
The bloodline looks as menacing as ever as they prepare to establish their dominance once again. And there's a kick and lights out. The lights are out for Sokola. Goes for the cover. Shoulders are down.
Scores the win. What a great team. It's hooked in deep.
Was managed by a system he couldn't
Here are your winners. The team of Alistair Black, Bray Wyatt, and
his name still carried weight. Younger Bickies spoke of him with reverence. His story became a lesson of power, of pride, and of how fast both can be taken away. To this day, the government's decision to exile Sam Ibrahim remains controversial. Some call it justice. Others call it a betrayal of Australia's multicultural promise. Either way, his story marks a turning point in the country's fight against organized crime, when the law realized that sometimes the most effective bullet is paperwork.
Ice in their veins, that's perhaps the only way to describe this version of the bloodline. Cold blood. There's a kick and bloodbath. Lights out.
Turn the lights out.
Going for the cover. Shoulders are down.
And they score the win. What a tag match.
Somewhere in Sydney, the stories still circulate.
Here are your winners.
The team of feared by those who remember. The outlaw brother, the president, the man who once ruled the West. And for some,
if I'm not chatting too much, guys, my throat is
even the loudest men.
absolutely
For Sam
killing me,
Ibrahim,
but
those walls were both punishment and reflection.
still got to grind.
After decades of commanding fear, loyalty, and respect on Sydney streets, he was finally alone, stripped of his club, his power, and his freedom.
Ice in their veins, that's perhaps the only way to describe this version of the bloodline. Cold.
There's
a kick and bloodbath. Lights out. The lights are out for Sokola. He's eyeing the 3 count here.
And that's it. Scores the win for the team. It's hooked in deep.
Here are your winners. The team
was still speaking his name. For Sam, prison wasn't the end of his story. It was a test. The system that couldn't beat him on the streets now had him confined. But control had always been his talent, and confinement didn't erase that. Those close to him said he stayed disciplined, focused, and strangely at peace. No wild outbursts, no begging for mercy.
The bloodline looks as menacing as ever as they prepare to establish their dominance once again. There's a kick and bloodbath. Lights out.
That could put Solo down for good. Big time win in this tag team match. It's hooked in deep.
Here are your winners. The team of
that Sam had helped define was slowly being replaced by a new kind of criminal. Invisible, faceless, and connected by encrypted phones instead of brotherhood. Still, among the old guard, Sam's name remained sacred. To them, he represented the last of a dying breed. Men who looked you in the eye, who stood by their word, who fought and bled beside their brothers. That reputation meant more than money
the
ever
bell rings. The bloodline will surely be looking to run roughshod in this match. That pack mentality in full force here. You have to remember, Corbin. Rearing way back.
Boom! Submerged. Can end this now. It is going to take a lot more.
Despite his family being on Sydney's
retaliates. There's a kick and bloodbath. Lights out. That's one hell of an exclamation mark. Going for the cover. Shoulders are down.
Wow, got it. Big time tag team win.
Raised his family here. Yet
here are your winners. The team of
the government wasn't just taking his freedom. They were trying to erase his existence. The case quickly became headline news. Some called it justice, a victory in the war on organized crime. Others called it cruel, a political move meant to make an example of one man. Commentators argued that if a person like Sam Ibrahim, who'd lived in Australia since childhood, could be deported, then citizenship itself had become a weapon.
Ice in their veins, that's perhaps the only way to describe this version of the bloodline. Cole, there's a kick and black mass. Lights out. There is no coming back from that. It reversed it. He might have him here. Is this it? Did you see that?
He kicked out. He actually kicked out.
Was living under a different kind of spotlight.
Bray Wyatt. There's a kick and black mass. Lights out. That's going to keep Sikoa down. Will Wyatt end it here?
And it's over. Big tag team win there. Delivering nasty stunts and repeated impacts like that will weaken you.
Ruled the clubs. The other ruled the streets. Together, they had shaped Sydney's criminal identity for an entire generation. By the late 2010s, a new kind of mythology had formed around the Ibrahim brothers. For the public, they were living symbols of the blurred line between glamour and crime, the family who turned power into legend. But for those who'd lived that life, they were cautionary
The bloodline
tales.
looks as menacing as ever as they prepare to establish their dominance once again. And there's a kick and black mass. Lights out.
That could pull Solo down for good.
Yank right up the apron for the cover. Solo shoulders her down.
Got it. There's the winners of the tag match. It's hooked in deep.
Here are your winners. The team of Aleister Black, Bray Wyatt, and Hulk Hogan.
Got to give these three credit for an amazing victory here tonight.
The bloodline, minutes and footsteps. But he was never forgotten. Letters came from old allies, from people he'd once protected, even from rivals who still respected him. To some, he remained a symbol of defiance against a system that had decided who was worthy of redemption. Meanwhile, Sydney kept changing. King's Cross, once alive with neon and noise, was fading. Lockout laws had closed many of the clubs that made it famous. The nightlife
The bell
empire
rings.
his
The
brother
bloodline
had
will
built
surely be
was
looking to run
evolving into
roughshod in this
real
match.
estate, hospitality,
There's a kick and black mass. Lights out. That's going to keep Sikoa down. Yank right out the apron. Oh, no. Back to the cover. Solo shoulders her down.
Got it. What a match and what a great team.
Even as he sat between guys, Sam's
Here are your winners.
influence lingered.
The team of
Younger Bickies
Aleister
still
Black,
invoked his
Bray Wyatt, and Hulk.
Members of the Nomads still used his lessons to keep their chapters disciplined. His story was told in hushed tones. The man who took on the government and lost, but never bowed. In 2020, reports surfaced that Sam's health had begun to decline. Decades of stress, isolation, and constant legal battles had taken their toll. Yet, when his name appeared in headlines again, it wasn't with pity, it was with awe.
The bloodline looks as menacing as ever as they prepare to establish their dominance once again. There's a kick and black mass. Lights out.
Feeling like it's over for Sikoa.
Yank right up the apron. He might have him.
Comes out on top in this tag team match. It's hooked in deep.
Here are your winners. The team of
Family no longer protected you. The new underworld played by algorithms and bank transfers, not by handshakes and brotherhood. In 2023, whispers spread that Sam's deportation was still being debated. Lebanon didn't want him back, and Australia didn't want him here. He existed in limbo, stateless, suspended between two worlds that both rejected him. For a man who once ruled Sydney's West, the irony was brutal. Power
Ice in their veins. That's perhaps the only way to describe this version of the bloodline. Cold blood. There's a kick and black mass. Lights out. No, it's about it. That's going to do it. Yank going for the cover. Solo shoulders her down.
Got it. What a match and what a great team. It's hooked in deep.
was still the same man
Here are your
who
winners.
walked into rooms and made the all change. To the very end, Sam remained consistent. No apologies. No surrender. He never turned on his brothers, never blamed the system for what happened, never begged for forgiveness. Whatever he was, criminal, leader, outlaw, protector, he owned it completely. The streets of Sydney may have moved on, but they still remember. Older cops still speak his name with a mix of frustration and respect.
Ice in their veins, that's perhaps the only way to describe this version of the bloodline. Cole, there's a kick and black mass. Lights out. Did Black just put an end to this?
Because Sam Ibrahim
Face first. Going for the cover. Someone shoulders her down.
an era when power was personal. Loyalty was sacred.
Wyatt's got the 12. It's hooked in deep. And that can vanquish Tom.
Still meant something.
And how's that? There's a kick and black mass. Lights out. Checkmate. It's over.
His story still
Two counts.
Got it. What a tag match we just saw.
Power fades. He vanishes. And
Here are your
fear
winners.
gets forgotten.
The team up. Aleister Black, Bray Wyatt,
Never dies.
and Hulk
He was the outlaw.
Hogan.
The first Ibrahim to walk into darkness, and the last one still standing in its shadow. When Sam Ibrahim vanished from Sydney streets, something shifted in the underworld. For years, his presence had been a kind of gravitational pull, the force that kept the western suburbs in line. Love him or hate him, everyone knew where he stood. But once he was gone, that balance collapsed. The old rules started to fade.
The bell rings. The bloodline will surely be looking to run roughshod in this match. That pack. There's a kick and black mass. Lights out.
Nobody's coming back from that.
Covering their opponent for the win.
And it's over. Big tag team win there. It's hooked in deep.
They were raised online.
Here are your winners.
Encrypted apps.
The team up. Aleister Black.
And taking orders from syndicates that didn't even speak their language. Sam Ibrahim had ruled a world built on faces and names. The world that followed had neither. In the years after his imprisonment and the threat of deportation, Sydney's underworld went through a quiet transformation. The loud, leather-clad chaos of the 1990s had been replaced by something more clinical, efficient, corporate, and far less visible.
The bell rings. The bloodline will surely be looking to run roughshod in this match. That pack. There's a kick and black mass. Lights out.
Dominating maneuver.
Boom. Face first.
Tama Tonga's in for it.
From the top.
It changed the sense.
They got all of that. Just taking flight and soaring through this.
And down for the count.
And they score the win. What a tag match. No respect being shown whatsoever with those stomps.
New factions
The
emerged.
team up. Aleister Black.
Filled the vacuum he left behind. What followed was a new breed of chaos. Less predictable, more dangerous, and harder for police to contain. Task Force Raptor, once focused on clubhouses and Harley-Davidsons, found themselves chasing encrypted messages, darknet deals, and ghost shipments. The old underworld had rules. The new one didn't. And that, more than anything, was Sam
The
Ibrahim's
bloodline looks as
legacy.
menacing as ever as they
Not in
prepare
what
to
he built,
establish their
but in
dominance
what
once
he
again
matched
inside
up.
the ring. The latest incarnation of the bloodline only has
There's
there's a kick and black mass. Lights out. Aleister just turned the lights out. And so, going for the cover. Someone shoulders her down. He comes to the rescue for his team.
He turned King's Cross into an empire of velvet ropes.
There's a kick and black mass. Lights out.
Now's the time to capitalize. Got it. Big time tag team
He
win.
stayed untouched. But John never forgot where it began.
The team up.
The Ibrahim world had been built
Bray
on Sam's
Wyatt
back.
and Hulk
His fights, his loyalty, his reputation. Without the shadow of the outlaw brother, there would be no King of the Cross. And While they lived in separate worlds, their stories were forever intertwined. One representing rebellion, the other survival. When reporters tried to connect them, John always brushed it off, insisting he had nothing to do with his brother's affairs. But those close to the family knew better. Blood, in their world, wasn't something you walked away from. It bound you, even in silence.
Ice in their veins, that's perhaps the only way to describe this version of the bloodline. Cold. There's a kick and blood mass. Lights out. That can certainly do it. Out the apron. This could be it. He can win it all here.
Big time win in this tag team match. Let's hook him deep.
The outlaw culture that had built King's Cross was dead.
The team up. Alistair Black, Bray Wyatt, and
the changing landscape, Sammy's legend persisted.
Nice teamwork by these three to pick up the win.
Tonight was not the Bloodline's night, and there's no way they're going to just accept that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Even if most of them had never met him. He'd become more than a man. He'd become a story. The kind that's told late at night in garages and tattoo parlors, always beginning with, "You know who used to run this town?" For the police, that myth was infuriating. For the community, it was seductive. Australia has always had a strange relationship with its outlaws. Part fear, part fascination. From bushrangers like Ned Kelly to modern-day Bicky bosses.
The bell rings. The Bloodline will surely be looking to run roughshod in this match. That pack mentality in full force here.
You have to remember, Cole, that
there's a kick. Lights out.
Put Solo down for good.
It could be all over.
And that's it. Scores the win for the team. Let's hook him deep.
The message was clear.
Here are your winners. The team up. Alistair Black, Bray Wyatt, and
everything.
Hogan.
Not just your freedom.
The Bloodline taking the loss in this one.
The Bloodline is incensed. They really thought they had this one in the bag.
well, no disrespect to the Bloodline, but we all know what they say about
The
assuming.
distrust of authority lived on in every club that followed. Sam Ibrahim may have fallen, but his blueprint remained. And that's the thing about men like him. You can remove them from the game, but you can't erase their influence. His story became a reference point for police studying gang dynamics, for journalists chasing underworld stories, for young men dreaming of power without understanding its cost. Yet, beneath the myth, there was always the man, flawed, complex, and human. Those who truly knew
The
Sam...
bell rings. The Bloodline will surely be looking to run roughshod in this match. That pack. There's a kick and mass. Lights out. Does that close it out for Black? Going for the pin for the win.
Scores the win. What a great team. Let's hook him deep.
That all made sense in a
Here are
world
your winners.
that
The team up. Alistair Black,
when Sydney streets were quieter, and his name had faded from the front pages, something interesting happened. The new generation, the digital outlaws, the phone dealers, the faceless syndicates, started looking back. They watched the documentaries, read the headlines, studied his
Give
rise
me a
and
few
fall,
secs, guys. Just grab
and somewhere in that reflection, they found a lesson. That power without loyalty collapses, and fear without respect means nothing. Because say what you want about Sam Ibrahim, he never betrayed his own code. He didn't sell out his brothers, didn't beg for leniency, didn't hide behind lawyers. He took what came, standing tall till the end. And in a world built on betrayal, that kind of consistency made him immortal. Today, his story is more than true crime. It's history. It's part of Sydney's DNA, embedded in the cracks of its streets, in the whispers of its clubs, in the cautionary tales parents still tell their sons. A reminder that power built on fear burns bright but fast. The Ibrahim family moved on, but Sydney never did. You can still feel it. That ghost of the old cross, that sense of danger beneath the neon. And somewhere out there, In the hearts of those who still romanticize the outlaw life, Sam Ibrahim remains alive. The symbol of a time when rules were simple, loyalties were sacred, and men like him defined what it meant to belong. He wasn't a hero. He wasn't a villain. He was a product of the streets, a man shaped by violence, pride, and circumstance. The system tried to bury him, but stories like his don't stay buried. They linger in the myths, the memories, the music of a city that will never quite forget its outlaws. Sam Ibrahim may never walk Sydney's streets again, but his shadow still does. In every fight for respect, in every deal made in back rooms, in every whispered name that makes a man pause before speaking, you'll find a trace of him. Because legends don't need crowns or borders. They just need stories. And Sam Ibrahim left plenty of those behind. When you strip away the noise, the headlines, the politics, the violence.
The bloodline looks as menacing as ever as they prepare to establish their dominance once again inside the ring.
The latest incarnation of the bloodline only has one.
There's a kick and blood mass.
Lights out. Turn the lights out. Into the cover for the win.
Every politician understands
Comes out on top in this tag team match. It's hooked in deep.
disappearing from the culture he once dominated.
Here are your
Sam
winners.
became a
The
blueprint.
team of Alistair
Just
Black,
criminals
Bray Wyatt,
for an entire
and
generation that grew up in the shadow of his legend. In Western Sydney, stories about him became street lessons. Boys who were too young to remember his reign still knew his rules. They learned the codes he lived by: loyalty, respect, silence. For some, it became a moral compass twisted by desperation. For others, it was a warning written in blood. No matter how high you climb, the fall always comes. Sam's story turned into myth, and myth is powerful. It can teach or corrupt. By the late 2010s, a new wave of crime was rising. Slicker, faster, and
The
less
bloodline
visible.
looks as menacing as ever
The
as they prepare to
so-called
establish their
post-Viking
dominance once
generation.
again. And there's a
These
kick
were
and blood mass.
Lights out. Nobody's coming back from that.
designer sneakers,
He's going for the pin.
connections that reach across oceans. They didn't grow up in places.
Bray Wyatt locks in the claw. This is
Listen closely,
agonizing.
and you
It's
can
hooked
still
in
hear
deep.
Sam
Bray may have
Ibrahim's
sealed
voice
things
in
up.
their words.
Discus knee strike.
Emphasis on loyalty, the obsession with respect,
What a damaging
the
blow.
belief that reputation is everything.
Hand and elbow.
These were lessons borrowed straight from his code.
Knee smashing the face. There's a kick.
It's effective. Is that all she wrote for Tongaloa?
Most of them never met him. Never
Got it.
really
There's the winners of the tag match.
They inherited the myth, not the man. Because the truth is,
Here are your
Sam
winners.
wasn't just a
The
guy.
team of
He was a
Alistair
product of
Black,
a time
Bray
when
Wyatt,
they built their own
and
laws because society had named for them. Migrant kids in the 1980s western suburbs weren't given much to believe in. The system didn't trust them, and the world didn't respect them. For someone like Sam, building his own world wasn't rebellion. It was survival. But that survival came at a cost. And as the years passed, that cost became clearer. When the new generation looked back at him, they saw power, not consequence. They saw fear, not loss. They forgot that for all his defiance, Sam Ibrahim ended up trapped. Not by enemies, but by the very system he'd spent his life trying to control. Still, influence doesn't care
The
about
bell rings. The
endings.
bloodline will surely be
Even
looking
after
to
his
run a
exile,
roughshot in this
his name
match.
lingered
That
in
pack.
the underground
There's a
again.
kick and blood mass.
Lights out. Did Black just put an end to this?
Legs right up the apron. He locks in this.
And that's it. Scores the win for the team. It's hooked in deep.
The illusion that the old underworld was
Here are your winners. The
The
team of Alistair Black, Bray Wyatt,
was
and
infuriating. Officers
Hogan.
who'd spent years chasing him saw a new challenge. Young offenders idolizing a man they'd never understood. To them, Sam was a criminal who thrived on fear and chaos. But to those who came from the same streets, He was something different. Proof that someone from nothing could rise to the top, even if it was the wrong kind of power. That's the paradox of the outlaw. Society wants to condemn him and imitate him at the same time. By the early 2020s, Sydney's West had changed again.
The bloodline looks as menacing as ever as they prepare to establish their dominance once again inside the ring.
Instead,
The latest incarnation.
faceless fighters.
That didn't go as solo. There's a kick and lights out. Austin just turned the lights out.
He's thinking he can end it here. It's over. Big tag team win there. It's hooked in deep.
Here are your winners.
It was chaos.
The team of Aleister Black.
Never tolerated. They often said, back then, there were rules. Now, there's just noise. And that's where Sam Ibrahim's influence stands today. Somewhere between respect and regret, his downfall forced Australia to confront uncomfortable questions. How do you stop a culture of outlaws when it's woven into identity? How do you police loyalty? And how do you punish someone who already
Ice in their
accepts
veins,
the
that's
cost of
perhaps the only
everything
way to
he does?
describe this version of the bloodline. Cole, there's a kick and
Lights out. Does that close it out for Black?
here's the pin attempt.
Crucial moment for Tonga Loa. Bray Wyatt sending a clear message here.
There's a kick and
Boy, it's about it. That's good.
two count. Keeps his team alive. What a save.
Philosophy remained the same.
And he gets set back into the ring.
And loyalty demands sacrifice. Even years later,
Turn on the lights. The party's over. Black might have brought this to a close.
Big time win in this tag team match. It's hooked in deep.
Here are your winners.
The other
The team of Aleister Black, Bray Wyatt, and Hulk
mastered survival through control. And in a strange way, both versions of that survival still shape the way people think about power in this country. For young men growing up in the same suburbs today, Sam's story still echoes, though not always in the way you'd hope. Some see him as a cautionary tale, others as a goal. Because in a world where respect feels rare, even the wrong kind looks tempting. But history
The bell
tells
rings.
us
The
something
bloodline will
different.
surely be looking to run roughshod in this match. That pack. There's a kick and
Lights out. Put a bow on it. This one's wrapped up.
he covers. This is it.
Got it. What a match and what a great team. It's hooked in deep.
They see
Here are
a
your
man
winners.
who helped
The
define
team of
not through money or status, but through sheer force of presence. He was the bridge between the old and the new underworld, between the bikie wars and the digital age of crime. And like all bridges, he bore the weight until it broke. The law took his freedom. The system took his country, but his story remains. A reminder that power without peace is just another kind of prison. Sydney
Ice in their
was one of
veins. That's perhaps
at
the
least
only
on
way
the
to
surface.
describe this version of the
The neon
bloodline.
lights
Cole,
of King's
there's a
Cross.
kick and
Lights out. Checkmate. It's over. We're going to end this once and for all.
Got it. What a tag match we just saw. It's hooked in deep.
He was a leader,
Here are your winners.
fighter,
The team of
a brother, and above all, a symbol. A symbol of how one man can shape a culture, and how a culture can turn one man into a myth. Because in the end, the story of Sam Ibrahim isn't about crime or punishment. It's about belonging. The search for identity in a world that never offered him one. He built it himself, piece by piece, until it consumed him. And
Ice in their
why,
veins. That's perhaps the only way to describe this version of the bloodline. Cole, there's a kick
kick.
Lights out. Will that be it? Will that be enough?
and he counters. Oh, going for the cover. Solo shoulders are in.
Two and a half. What an incredible match we are witnessing.
Had been the police's nightmare.
Ooh, a nasty kick.
And we just saw some serious offense. In a 3-on-3 match like this, I'd like to think that teamwork is essential.
Definitely. These men need to watch each other's backs at all times and make sure their side always has the favorable matchup.
There's a kick and lights out. Alistair just turned the lights out.
He's arrested in 2014.
Ryan's got the claw hooked. It's hooked in deep.
There's a kick and lights out. Business here is all over. Wasting no time. And a cover.
And they score the win. What a tag match.
He was the symbol of everything Campbell has
Here are your winners.
The
The team
immigration a clear danger to the Australian community. The headlines echoed those words, framing him not as an individual, but as an idea. The outlaw who didn't belong. It was no longer about crime. It was about identity. That's when the government turned to a new weapon. Deportation as deterrence. The message was simple. If you weren't born here, and you brought chaos to
The
our
bell
streets,
rings. The Bloodline will surely be looking to run roughshod in this match. That pack. There's a kick and lights out.
Will that be the deciding factor?
citizenship,
Hoping that was enough. Was it?
and
Comes out on top in this tag team match. It's hooked in deep.
Here are your winners. The
But
team
beneath the applause,
Alistair Black.
something darker was forming. Because for the first time, Australia wasn't just punishing criminals for what they'd done. It was punishing them for who they were. Behind the scenes, police and politicians used Sam's name as leverage. His story appeared in briefings, training sessions, and campaign speeches. We're cracking down on men like him, they'd say. Even though there was no one quite like him. It was the perfect
The
political
bell rings. The
storm.
Bloodline will surely be looking to run
One man's
roughshod in
downfall
this
to
match.
justify
That
an
pack.
entire
There's a
system.
kick and
Australia's windows of
Did Black just put an end to this?
shoulders down. Does he have it?
government introduced anti-consumer laws. Police to arrest people.
Scores the win. What a great team.
Outlaw motorcycle clubs were declared
Here are
illegal
your winners.
organizations.
The team
Their colors,
Alistair Black.
tattoos, even gatherings could lead to prosecution. At first it worked. Clubhouses were shut down, recruitment slowed, and the public felt safer. But the reality was more complicated. Crime didn't disappear. It adapted. The street-level Bicky violence declined, but the networks didn't dissolve. They evolved. Instead of operating from clubhouses, they moved their operations offshore.
The Bloodline looks as menacing as ever as they prepare to establish their dominance once again. There's a kick and lights out.
Feeling like it's over for Sokola.
Goes for the pin.
The end could be near. Wow, got it. Big time tag team win. It's hooked in deep.
Here are your winners.
The justification, the warning, and the cautionary tale rolled into one. Within law enforcement, he was described as proof that intimidation alone can build empires. Within politics, he was cited as the reason stronger legislation was needed. Within journalism, he was a headline that never stopped selling. Every major reform, from the expansion of Task Force Raptor to the introduction of the
The bell rings. The Bloodline will surely be looking to run roughshod in this match. That pack. There's a kick and lights out. That's going to keep Sokola down. Shoulders down. This could be it.
Scores the win. What a great team. It's hooked in deep.
Here are your winners.
He was a
The
child
team
of immigration, born into a culture caught between gratitude and exclusion. His entire life was shaped by the contradiction of belonging and rejection. He grew up in a country that demanded respect from those it refused to fully accept. And when he took that respect by force, the same country called him a criminal. That contradiction became part of Australia's own reflection. When the government deported or silenced men like Sam,
the bloodline looks as menacing as ever as they prepare to establish their dominance once again. And there's a kick.
Lights out. It's over for Sikoa. Yeah, it looks like he can get it done here.
And ambition that drives any system to that.
Comes out on top in this tag team match. It's hooked in deep.
The legacy beyond crime.
Here are your winners.
Years after his imprisonment,
The team of Aleister Black, Bray Wyatt,
faces,
and
headlines, the question still lingers. Did it all mean? The anti-bikie laws did what they were designed to do. They fractured the old networks. But they also left scars on the culture itself. Entire communities in Western Sydney, many of them working class and migrant, found themselves under suspicion. Police operations no longer targeted individuals, but identities. To the Ibrahim family, this wasn't just a personal loss.
The bell rings. The bloodline will surely be looking to run roughshod in this match. That pack. There's a kick and lights out.
That could put Solo down for good.
Going for the cover. Solo shoulders for that.
Became the face of success in this year.
And it's over. Big tag team win there. It's hooked in deep.
Their stories share the
Here are your
same
winners.
moral.
The team
The
of
system doesn't forgive ambition when it comes from the wrong side of the tracks. When the television adaptation Last King of the Cross aired in 2023, it reignited the fascination with their saga. Audiences saw two brothers raised in the same streets, but shaped by different choices. One choosing power through visibility, the other through dominance. Both became icons of their time. But what most people missed was the bigger picture.
Ice in their veins. That's perhaps the only way to describe this version of the bloodline. Cole.
It's about
there's a
evolution.
kick and
Lights out. The lights are out for Sikoa.
going for the cover. Solo shoulders for that.
And that's it. Scores the win for the team. It's hooked in deep.
Influence remains in the way Australia now
Here are your
defines
winners.
itself.
The
Every
team
debate
of
about crime, immigration, loyalty, and freedom carries echoes of that world. To law enforcement, Sam Ibrahim will always be the outlaw who proved why the system needs to stay strong. To sociologists, he is a case study in what happens when a person's environment and ambition collide. To the public, he's a myth, the outlaw brother who refused to bend. But the truth sits somewhere in between.
Ice in their
Sam
veins. That's
Ibrahim
perhaps the
wasn't
only way to
born a
describe
monster.
this version of the
He was
bloodline.
born
Cole.
into chaos.
There's a kick and lights out.
His entire
Mile runs to a close.
Getting right up the apron.
Shoulders down. Looking for the win here.
every order he gave.
Big time win in this tag team match. It's hooked in deep.
Here are your winners.
Australia's public police
The team
intelligence-led operations, multi-agency coordination, financial tracking were all responses to the kind of criminal structure men like Sam helped create. He shaped the very system that ultimately brought him down. That's the strange poetry of his story. The outlaw who trained his own hunters. Yet, beyond the politics, the laws, and the legacy, lies something quieter. The human story. The story of a man.
The bell rings. The bloodline will surely be looking to run roughshod in this match. That pack. There's a kick and lights out.
Feel like it's over for Sikoa. He's going for the cover.
Refuses to die. He first said
And they score the win. What a tag
He was
match.
a mirror to the
It's hooked
society
in deep.
His existence forced
Here are
Australia
your
to
winners.
confront new
The team
truths
of
about
Aleister Black,
privilege
Bray
and the illusion of belonging. In the end, the system won. The laws grew stronger. The bickies grew quieter. And Sam Ibrahim, the man who once ruled with his voice and his stare, faded into silence. But in that silence, his impact lives on. You can see it in the way the police operate today. More cautious, more coordinated. You can feel it in
The
the
bell
way
rings.
the
The
media
bloodline will
covers
surely
crime.
be looking to run roughshod in
Always
this
looking for
match.
the
That
next
pack.
outlaw.
There's a
Fill the
kick
gap.
lights out.
You can
That's
sense
going to
it
keep
in the way
Sikoa
young men
down.
in the same
Going
streets
for the cover. Solo shoulders for that.
still chasing the idea of power that
What a tag match we just saw. Let's hook him deep.
Here are your winners.
Sydney will never forget its outlaws. The Ibrahim name will never fully fade. And the man who started it all, the Outlaw Brother, will always be part of Australia's story. Not because of the crimes he committed, but because of the reflection he forced a nation to see. He showed the country that every empire, whether it's built on law or lawlessness, depends on the same fragile thing.
The bloodline looks as menacing as ever as they prepare to establish their dominance once again. And there's a kick and bloodbath. Lights out. Does that close it out for Black? Going for the cover. Solo shoulders it in.
Got it. What a match and what a great team. Let's hook him deep.
They say every story about power ends the same. Not with a bang, but with silence. For Sam Ibrahim, that silence came slowly. The years passed. The headlines faded. The cameras moved on. The city that once feared his name learned to live without it. But some names don't disappear. They just stop being spoken out loud. Behind high fences and closed doors, Sam lived out his final chapters in a kind of twilight.
The bell rings. The bloodline will surely be looking to run roughshod in this match. That pack mentality in full force here.
You have to remember, Cole, that this version of the bloodline is essentially comprised of the black sheep of the family. The ones that are invited to the family reunions or the cookouts because they're just plain dangerous men.
There's a kick and bloodbath. Lights out.
That could put Solo down.
Going for the cover. Solo shoulders it in.
Scores the win. What a great team. Let's hook him deep.
Everything except himself.
Here are your
In
winners.
that stillness,
The
Sam
team.
Ibrahim became something else entirely. A symbol stripped bare of myth. No longer the president, no longer the outlaw. Just a man facing the truth that every empire, legal or illegal, eventually collapses under its own weight. The world outside his cell kept changing. Sydney's skyline climbed higher. The cross turned into a polished ghost of its former self. The nights that once belonged to men like Sam and John.
The bloodline
now
looks as
belong to
menacing as
tourists,
ever as they prepare to
developers,
establish their
and
dominance
cameras.
once again. And
The dangerous
there's a
thing
kick and bloodbath. Lights out.
Signed, sealed, and delivered.
Going for the cover. Solo shoulders it in.
And it's over. Big tag team win there. Let's hook him deep.
Sam Ibrahim never asked to be
The
elected.
team up. Alistair Black,
Turned him
Bray
into
Wyatt, and
carried it the only way he
Hogan.
could, with defiance. Even as the world condemned him, he never tried to rewrite his story. He never pleaded innocence. He simply existed within his own truth, even when it destroyed him. That's what makes his story so uniquely Australian. Because our country has always had a strange relationship with its outlaws. We hate them, we fear them, but somehow we understand them. From bushrangers to bickies,
Ice in their veins. That's perhaps the only way to describe this version of the bloodline. Cole. There's a kick and bloodbath. Lights out. Black might have brought this to a close. Going for the cover. Solo shoulders it in.
Wow, got it. Big time tag team win.
The reflection's the part of us
Here are your
that doesn't
winners.
fit neatly
The
inside
team up.
box of
Alistair
papers.
Black.
Sam Ibrahim forced Australia to look at that reflection. At the uncomfortable truth that crime isn't born in the shadows. It grows in the cracks of society itself. He was the son of immigrants, raised between cultures, between opportunity and exclusion. He built his own code because the country's one never included him. And that's what makes his story tragic. Not because of what he did, but because of why
The bell
he
rings. The
felt he had
bloodline
to
will
do it.
surely be looking to
Even
run
now,
roughshod in this
his
match.
legacy
That
lingers.
pack mentality in full force here.
You have to remember,
Questions that the system still has answered.
There's a kick and bloodbath. Lights out. That's a game ender, gentlemen.
Just a
And time to call it.
never gave him a fair place. And
Breaks the pin. Keeps this one going.
Are we judging a match? Or trying to bury the parts of our own history we
Turn out the lights. The party's over. Alistair just turned the lights out.
Got it. What a tag match we just saw.
And guilt, loyalty, and betrayal.
Here are your
all
winners.
rolled into one
The
man.
team up.
John built an empire in the light. Sam built one in the dark. Both proved that power, no matter how it's earned, always comes with a price. Sam's price was everything. Today, he lives quietly, away from the spotlight, away from the streets that once shook when he walked them. Some say he's reflective. Others say he's still proud. But everyone agrees on one thing. He never stopped being
The
himself.
bell rings. The Bloodline will surely be looking to run roughshod in this match. That pack mentality in full force here.
You have to remember, Cole, that this...
To let the world decide what he wants.
Gets the reversal.
There's a kick and bloodbath. Lights out.
That could put Solo down for good.
This could be almost the
Keeps the pen, keeping his team in this one.
Ray's feeling a sense of confidence here.
The last of the real ones. Because in today's world, there
Getting
are
it right into the corner.
like Sammy Ibrahim. No kings.
Getting close by the axe handle.
Just
Forward under the kidney.
No codes. Just transactions. The age of loyalty has been replaced by the age of profit.
Ooh, that's a kick
Legends
that
like Sam remind us of something that new
It's
worlds
effective. Can Hulkster twist this one? See ya.
Twisted, brutal, unforgiving. Yes. Of all the sea.
And that's it. Scores the win for the team.
Because every generation needs its outlaws.
Here are your
Not to
winners.
glorify them,
The
but
team
to
up.
understand what happens when the system and the street collide. Sam Ibrahim's story isn't about victory or defeat. It's about consequence. It's about what happens when a man builds his own world and then realizes that world can't save him. He lived by his rules until the end. And in a strange way, that's what keeps his story alive. Because somewhere out there, another young man is watching this story, wondering how
The Bloodline looks as
loyalty
menacing
and
as
power
ever
can
as they
really
prepare to
take him.
establish their dominance once again inside.
Just
There's a kick.
There's
no coming back from that.
Is
Going to the cover. Solo shoulders it
end of
out.
every episode. We always come back to the same question. Why do we keep telling stories
Got
like
it.
this?
What a match,
Because
and
we're
what a
still
great
trying to
team.
understand them. Maybe because deep down,
Here are
we
your
all
winners.
know that the
The
line
team
between order and chaos isn't as wide as we'd like to think. Sam Ibrahim's story isn't about crime. It's about human nature, about pride, family, and the search for belonging in a world that draws borders even within its own people. He was an outlaw, a brother, a survivor. And whether you see him as a villain or a victim, you can't deny his impact. So, as the streets of Sydney quiet down, and the old world
The Bloodline
fades
looks as
further
menacing
into
as
memory,
ever as they prepare to
his shadow
establish their
remains.
dominance once again inside the ring.
The latest incarnation of the Bloodline only has
just as a truth.
That didn't go as Solo pictured.
He averts the offense.
Maybe that's why we keep
Both
watching.
athletes showing incredible
Because
reflexes
stories
here.
like this
Every
Oh
challenge
my
being answered
God.
Continuous counter.
There's a kick and
Feeling like it's over for Sikoa.
he's got his shoulders down. This is it.
Would you fight the system?
Got it. There's the winners of the tag match. It's hooked in deep.
And most of all, would you survive?
Here are your winners.
If this story made you think about loyalty, about power, about how close darkness really is, then make sure you subscribe to True Crime Aussie, where every week we explore the real stories behind Australia's most notorious names. Stories that shaped our cities and the people who still walk in their shadows. Because this is more than true crime. This is Australia, unfiltered.
The bell rings. The Bloodline will surely be looking to run roughshod in this match. That pack. There's a kick and black mass.
Lights out. Deep Black just put an end to this.
And he finds
Behind the 3 count here.
keeps his team alive.
Bray Wyatt locks
This is agonizing.
It's hooked in deep.
That could put Tama down for good. The thing about six-man tag matches, they tend to get wild and crazy.
Solo setting it up. Look at this series of Samoan spikes.
I'm worried out now.
The Hulkster with a body slam. We know what comes next. Big leg drop by Hogan.
Hogan can taste it now.
Pulling him in for the breaker.
Right into the lower back.
Uh-oh.
Winding up.
Someone's hit down with the cover.
Big time win in this tag team match.
Further proof.
Here are your winners. Solo Sikoa, Tom Lola, and
That your AI is crap.
The direction of the ratings has not been promising, and if anybody out there missed it when we went over it on shows a couple weeks ago, and the clips are on YouTube, where our YouTube channel, if you want to go back and refresh yourself, but the Nielsen people have switched to another methodology of gathering the ratings, and since then, a lot of the pro sports and football have shown
The bell rings. The Bloodline will surely be looking to run roughshod in this
and
match.
most
That
of
Pat.
the other
There's a
programs
Lights
a
out.
small variation in the ring.
Pin, shoulders down.
Wrestling has got down. It has been down 15%.
Comes out on top in this tag team match. It's hooked in deep.
And also, they're being
here are your winners. The team
proprietary with their information. We don't even get the quarter hours anymore. They just, fuck that. Again, nobody's going to know about that. Who was threatened?
Oh, yeah. No, this is an interesting thing, and we'll see going forward what happens here. Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics posted something for subscribers on their Patreon. Note for readers. I don't expect to publish quarter-hour TV
Ice in their
ratings
veins.
for
That's perhaps the only way to describe this version of the Bloodline. Cole. There's a kick out.
That's going to keep Sikoa down.
Deep into the match. This could end it. Scores the win. What a great team. It's hooked in deep.
Here are your winners. The team
The message copied several members of Nielsen's legal and policy team. The media relations representative stated only that the team had some questions, and that's in quote, about the data I've reported. Nielsen hasn't followed up, and I haven't received any threat or warning. Based on the tone and timing, I suspect the email was meant mainly to signal concern.
The Bloodline looks as menacing as ever as they prepare to establish their dominance once again. There's a kick and Black Mass.
Feeling like it's over for Sikoa.
That's the pin. This might be it.
Big time win in this tag team match. It's hooked in deep.
It's big data plus panel methodology. Suggested Nielsen's sensitivity about how their data is perceived, particularly as the Media Rating Council is reportedly reconsidering whether to accredit the new methodology after initially granting accreditation. So that seems to have stopped the quarter-hour ratings, not just for WrestleNomics, but everywhere. We have not seen any quarter hours from any source.
Well, and that's, again...
The bell rings. The Bloodline will surely be looking to run roughshod in this match.
Wrestling company or the wrestling business in general, if they continue to use these ratings in this fashion, wrestling is the one that got
He thinks this is it.
other programming on the world of the television.
It's over. Big tag team win there. It's hooked in deep.
They're using it. This is what the advertisers and the networks are going to do, because they're not going to have anything else. And with that being said, we had been talking about Dynamite, looking kind of pitiful when it was down in the 600,000s.
And then they got into the 500,000s, and every once in a while would bust back over 6 with the old methods. And we were like, you know, can the network be happy with this?
The bloodline looks as menacing as ever as they prepare to establish their dominance once again.
There's a kick and
maybe
Netflix now.
That's got to be it.
Here's the cover.
Comes out on top in this tag team match. It's hooked in deep.
Here are your winners.
Yeah, I pulled up the 15th, the 22nd, and the 29th.
Well, what were all those numbers?
Dynamite on Wednesday, October 15th, 2025, 8 to 10 p.m. What was that? Hold on. I'm actually going to tell you what the lineup was, or at least what the main thing was. I got my notes here, as well as this. So this would have been 2 weeks ago. Jim, I got my notes here. October 15th was Dynamite with, let's see, you had Tony Storm and Statlander's sit down.
Ice in their veins. That's perhaps the only way to describe this version of the bloodline. Cole. There's a kick and lights out. Alistair turns the lights out. Yeah, going for the cover. Solo shoulders are down.
There's the winners of the tag match. It's hooked in deep.
Here are your winners. The team up.
That was the first week of the new method or the last week of the old method? I think that was first week of the new method, wasn't it?
Oh, no, the new method had been in place for a little while. I believe it started September 26th.
Good Lord, how time is flying.
Yeah.
All right, well then, do you have, by the way, what did Dynamite do on September 19th?
I would need a second to pull that up.
Well, no, September
24th.
The bell rings. The bloodline will surely be looking to run a rough shot in this match. That pack. There's a kick out. Lights out. That's going to keep Sakura down. Going for the cover.
Okay, that's what I'm driving at. September 24th was 6:36.
The Hulkster could
That's
have
the
this
old
one.
method. The new method kicked in. Well, what was
This is
the
not
next 2
going to be
weeks
good.
before?
We know what comes next. And he's into the pin. And the cover.
Wednesday, October 1st, Dynamite, 8 to 10:30 a.m.
What a tag match we just saw.
This was Big Dan and plus
Here are your
Okay,
winners.
and what about
The team up.
October 8th, or actually October 7th. They aired
Titty Tuesday?
Title Tuesday, 8 to 10 p.m. Tuesday, October 7th, 321,000 viewers.
Okay, that's an off night, but nevertheless. So we've got September 24th, the last week of the old method, 6:36. Then the following Wednesday, 4:65. Following Tuesday, take that out of the equation.
Ice in their veins. That's perhaps the only way to describe this version of the bloodline. Cole. There's a kick and lights out. That's going to keep Sakura down.
And the big one in September. October 26th.
Is this the end?
October 22nd,
Got it. What a match and what a great team.
Women's 14-tag match.
Here are your winners.
Mercedes
team
Moxley versus O'Reilly, part 1. And Fletcher and Callis promo, and that's about that. Bandito main event with Briscoe. Bandito versus Okada main event, excuse me. 8 to 10 p.m., 477,000 viewers.
Okay. And the 29th, the show that we just talked about, those numbers have come in. What did they do there?
The most recent AEW Dynamite, October 29th.
The bloodline looks as menacing as ever as they prepare to establish their dominance once again inside the ring.
The latest incarnation of the bloodline only has one.
There's a kick and black mass.
Lights out. That has to be right there.
Thursday nights, the new method, they've gone from the last week, the old method, 6:36 to 4:65, 8:34, 4:77.
Got it. Big time tag team win.
They've
Here are
lost
your winners. The
10,
team up.
15, 20% of the audiences, last time I checked, that were being measured under the new method, but they start with bigger numbers. And as well, they're more diversified in that There's some programs on streaming and some programs on cable and some programs on broadcast. But this can't be in any way good for AEW's interactions with
That's perhaps the only way to describe this version of the bloodline. Cold-blooded.
There's a kick and Black Mass.
Black might have brought this to a close.
This is it. He could put him away right here.
Hundreds of millions for several years for the media rights.
And they score the win. What a tag match. It's hooked in
TV
deep.
aspect. That doesn't always say so.
Here are your winners.
You got what you pay for.
The new ratings methodology, because also it's happening in the middle of a downturn. If not business-wise for everyone, just general vibes-wise. AEW does not feel hot. WWE feels hot, and you don't understand why, because you don't feel it. It looks hot, I guess is maybe a better way to say it. But right now, I think we're in a downturn. So that's the other thing that...
The bloodline looks as menacing as ever as they prepare to establish their dominance once again inside the ring.
The latest incarnation of the bloodline only has
program, Brian.
There's a kick and Black Mass.
Lights out. Dig well. Just put an end to
No matter
this.
when we finish on this, there's going to be another one coming up soon. And that's the case for this one. We admitted
The ref didn't see a thing.
Are you kidding me?
Here are your winners. The team of Aleister Black, Bray Wyatt, and Hulk Hogan.
The bloodline got bested in this one.
Never a good thing when the bloodline doesn't get their way.
Hear voices.
There will...
Not the kind that whisper doubt or guilt or conscience, but the kind that command. Voices that told him what to do, when to do it, and who would have to die. In the dim light of a rundown flat in Sydney's western suburbs, a man sat on the edge of his bed, clutching a photo of his infant son. His hands trembled. The baby had died only weeks before.
Ice in their veins, that's perhaps the only way to describe this version of the bloodline. Cold.
There's a kick and Black Mass. Lights out. The lights are out for Sikoa. Could this be it?
Got it. What a tag match we just saw. It's hooked in deep.
Here are your winners. The team of Aleister Black, Bray Wyatt, and Hulk
He told his girlfriend that his son's spirit had returned. He said the baby was speaking to him, asking for revenge. 7 lives in exchange for 1. That's where the madness began. It was 1973. Sydney was a city between innocence and fear. Before the rise of organized crime, before the era of serial killers, people still left their doors unlocked, believing evil lived somewhere else.
Ice in their veins, that's perhaps the only way to describe this version of the bloodline. Cold.
There's a kick and Black Mass. Lights out. Aleister just turned the lights out.
Looks like this could be the end.
Crucial moment for Tongaloa. Bray Wyatt sending a clear message here.
There's a kick and Black Mass. Lights out. That's got to be the end right there. Turning it into the pin. 2.
Got it. What a match and what a great team.
Here are your winners.
The result
The
was
team of
the group piled into a stolen car, a cheap revolver in the glove box, and began driving through the streets of Sydney. To them, the city wasn't home anymore. It was a map of targets. Their first victim was a stranger, a man walking home alone, unaware that madness was following close behind. The gunshot echoed through the quiet streets, a single sound that marked the beginning of one of the most...
The bloodline looks as menacing as ever as they prepare to establish their dominance once again inside the ring.
The latest incarnation of the bloodline only has rearing. Black one step ahead.
There's a kick and Black Mass.
Lights out. Did well. Just put an end to this.
With a cover. He did this.
Might be it.
He didn't hide. He said, it's over.
And it's
said his face was calm, almost peaceful.
Here are your winners. The
Like
team of
sacred duty. But inside the interrogation room, as the reality of his crimes set in, something darker emerged. A story of delusion, grief, and evil disguised as devotion. Reporters called him Mad Dog. Psychologists called him a textbook case of psychotic delusion. But for the people of Sydney, he was something else entirely. Proof that horror doesn't always wear a mask.
The bloodline looks as menacing as ever as they prepare to establish their dominance once again. There's a kick and blood mass. Lights out.
That could put someone down. Make the save then.
His trial began.
Several effective leg drop.
Holster could end it there.
There's a kick and blood mass. Lights out.
Goodbye and good night.
Got the shoulder at the last possible moment.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Is that all she wrote for Tonga
The
Low?
rest of us from the edge. This is not a story about demons or devils. It's a story about
Right foot graveyard. Alistair just turned the lights out.
And that's it. Scores the win for the team.
Here are your winners.
To the night,
The team
let's listen to the voice that would change everything. The night the city of Sydney met its Mad Dog. Before he was known as Mad Dog, before the headlines and the horror, Archie McCafferty was just another migrant child trying to find his place in a strange new country. He was born in 1950 in Scotland, a place of grey skies and long winters. His family, like many after the war, was poor but proud. His father worked in factories. His mother cleaned houses. They wanted more for their children, something beyond survival. So, when
Ice in
Archie
their
was 8
veins,
years
that's
old,
perhaps the only
they
way to
ordered a
describe
ship
this version
bound
of the
for
bloodline.
Australia.
Cold. There's a kick and blood mass. Lights out.
That's one hell of an exclamation mark.
This could be for the win.
Became a place where dreams of
Got it. Big time tag team win. It's hooked in deep.
Here are your winners. The team of
At school, he was the pommy kid with the thick accent and second-hand shoes. He fought often, not out of anger, but out of habit, the only language he understood. Teachers called him difficult. Neighbors called him strange. Even as a boy, there was something distant about him, a restlessness, a look in his eyes that never quite focused on the present. As a teenager,
The bell rings. The
Archie
bloodline will
drifted.
surely be looking to run roughshod in this match. That packed.
There's a kick and blood mass. Lights out. The lights are out for Sokoa.
He started drinking.
They might be able to put this one away right here.
His late teens, the police
Comes out on top in this tag team match. It's hooked in deep.
enough to make him
Here
feel
are your
like the
winners.
system had gone
The
better.
team of
In the early 1970s, Sydney was changing. The working-class suburbs were growing faster than the people could keep up. Alcohol, poverty, and frustration were everywhere. Archie found his escape in the pubs, dimly lit rooms filled with smoke, and broken men looking for someone to blame. That's where he met Helen Moore. She was 19, blonde, fragile, and lost in her own way.
The bloodline looks as menacing as ever as they prepare to establish their dominance once again. And there's a kick and blood mass. Lights out.
Does that close it out for Black?
He's making his move.
For the win.
Got it. There's the winners of the tag match. It's hooked in deep.
Here are your winners. The team of Alistair Black, Bray Wyatt, and
Helen became pregnant, he told friends he finally had a reason to live. But when the baby came, something went wrong. Their son lived only a few days. The details were never clear. A sudden illness, a failure of the lungs, a tiny heartbeat that simply stopped. The death shattered him. Archie didn't cry at the funeral. He didn't speak. He just stood by the tiny coffin and stared, His hands clenched so tight.
The bell rings. The
that blood
bloodline will
was
surely
turned
be looking to run roughshot in this match. That pack mentality in full force here.
You have to remember, Cole, that this version of the bloodline is essentially comprised of the black sheep of the family. The ones never invited to the family.
There's a kick. It's bloodbath. Lights out.
Feeling like it's over for Sikoa.
Going for the cover. Solo shoulders her down.
Big time win in this tag team match. It's hooked in deep.
Here are your winners.
The team it was grief. Then she saw the way he looked at her. Distant, hollow, convinced of something she couldn't hear. He told her the baby's spirit was trapped, that he needed to help him cross over. Helen tried to comfort him, but Archie's mind had already slipped away. The voices started small, quiet murmurs, half-formed words, but they grew louder. Archie
the bloodline looks as menacing as ever as they prepare to establish their dominance once again. And there's a kick and bloodbath. Lights out. Alistair just turned the lights out. Tagaloa reverses and looks to capitalize.
Suplex.
Cut from the top. Double stomp.
He was deadly serious.
Looking for the
next few
victory.
days, his obsession deepened.
And they score the win. What a tag match.
Oh, stop right to the hand.
The proverbial mud hole has been stomped, and now it's time to walk it.
A dark, twisted kind of mission. Helen didn't know what to do. She loved him, but she was terrified. Every night, the whispers in their small house grew louder. Archie barely slept. He'd sit by the window for hours, staring into the street, muttering to someone only he could see. Then, one morning, he told her he'd met people who understood. People who would help him. Two young men, barely out
The
of their
bloodline looks
teens,
as menacing as ever as they prepare to establish their dominance once again. There's a kick and bloodbath. Lights out. Does that close out for Black? The cover for the win.
And they score the win. What a tag match. It's hooked in deep.
Here are your winners. The team
To rest. Instead of walking away, they listened. Maybe they believed him. Maybe they were too lost to care. By then, the lines between delusion and reality had vanished. Archie wasn't just hearing voices anymore. He was obeying them. He wrote their names on scraps of paper. He drew circles, made lists, and spoke in riddles. Helen said she'd wake at night.
The bell rings. The bloodline will surely be looking to run roughshot in this match. That pack. There's a kick and bloodbath. Lights out.
Dominating maneuvers could end things.
This could do it for the win.
Big time win in this tag team match. It's hooked in deep.
Here are your winners. The team Alistair Black, Bray Wyatt, and
being replaced by something else. Something that listened. Something that obeyed. He told people he could hear his son's voice more clearly now. At first, it came only in dreams. Faint, distorted, like an echo from another world. But soon, it began to speak while he was awake. Sometimes it whispered his name. Sometimes it gave him instructions. And sometimes it screamed.
The bloodline looks as menacing as ever as they prepare to establish their dominance once again. There's a kick and bloodbath. Lights out. Black's might have brought this to a close. Going for the cover. He might just have it.
Guys, there's the winners of the tag match. It's hooked in deep.
Here are your winners. The team
She wanted to believe he was grieving, not losing his mind. But each day, the line between the two faded. He told her he'd been chosen for a task, that God, or fate, or his son had given him a mission. 7 souls must die for his child to rest. Helen begged him to stop talking like that. She told him they could move, start fresh somewhere else. But Archie only smiled.
Ice in their veins, that's perhaps the only way to describe this version of the bloodline.
Cold-blooded,
remorseless, and willing to do anything to stake their claim here in WWE.
Come on, Cole, that's what the bloodline has always been about. Just because this version of the crew is unapologetic about that fact doesn't make it any less the case. Yes, the bloodline is cold-blooded, and that's what...
Could have got by Tama Tonga.
Seriously?
Here it comes. Tonga twist. That's going to keep Black down.
And right into the pin.
Uh-oh. Staying in this one.
And the heaviest hitter in the... there's a kick and Black Mass. Lights out.
Now that's how you put the nail in the coffin.
There's a kick and Black Mass. Lights out. And just turned the lights out. He goes for the pin.
Could this be it? Wow, got it. Big time tag team win. It's hooked in deep.
Here are your winners. The team
Out of fear, fascination, or desperation, no one could say. But from that moment on, they were bound to him. The first victim was never supposed to be chosen. Archie said the voice would lead them. And so, one cold night in June, they drove aimlessly through the dark streets of Sydney's west. A borrowed car, a cheap revolver in the glove box, and 3 people convinced they were doing something divine.
Ice in their veins, that's perhaps the only way to describe this version of the bloodline. Cold blood. There's a kick and Black Mass. Lights out. Deep Black just put an end to this. Boom, face first. Pin, shoulders down.
Trying to end it. Scores the win. What a great team. It's hooked in deep.
Here are your winners.
Archie told Gary to stop.
The team up.
Crossing the road ahead, hands in his pockets, head down. He was a stranger, neither rich nor poor, just another Sydney worker making his way home. But to Archie, he was the sign he'd been waiting for. He stepped out of the car, gun in hand. The man looked up, startled. There was no argument, no robbery, no reason. Just a flash of light. A sound that cracked through the night.
The bell rings. The bloodline will surely be looking to run roughshod in this match. That Pac-Man. There's a kick and Black Mass. Lights out. That can certainly do it.
No. Shoulders down. Going for the win. Got it. What a tag match we just saw.
Here are your winners. The team up.
No one made the connection. The killing seemed random, senseless. Sydney had seen its share of violence before. One death among thousands. But for Archie, it was just the beginning. Over the next weeks, he grew more confident. The voice praised him, he said. It told him he had done well. It told him who was next. He began marking days on the calendar.
The bell rings. The bloodline will surely be looking to run roughshod in this match. That Pac. There's a kick and Black Mass. Lights out.
That could put Solo down. He's got him down to the pin. And that's it. Scores the win for the team. It's hooked in deep.
Here are your winners. The team up.
Gary and Jimmy were terrified, trapped between loyalty and fear. Helen tried to leave, but Archie always found her. He'd tell her she was chosen, that if she left, the voices would come for her too. She later said she stayed because she thought she could save him. But each night, she saw less of the man she loved and more of the monster he was becoming. The murders drew attention.
The bloodline looks as menacing as ever as they prepare to establish their dominance once again.
Same randomness, same eerie continuity.
Read that one.
We're seeing one response after another. Neither superstar gaining a foothold.
There's a kick. Manages to reverse.
No, that's a battle.
The Sydney hero is both safe.
Going for the cover. Solo shoulders are down.
He told his followers that the police would never catch them.
What a match and what a great team.
He spoke like a prophet now.
Here are your
Soft-spoken,
winners.
controlled,
The team up.
was gentle. He'd smile when he talked about death, as if it were a favor he was doing for the world. When Helen finally went to the police, she didn't go to confess. She went because she was scared. She said she couldn't sleep, that the voices had started talking to her too, or maybe it was just Archie's words echoing in her head. The police listened, half believing, half dismissing. But when she
ice in their veins, that's perhaps the only way to describe this version of the bloodline. Cole,
they started to
there's a
realize
kick
that
out. Lights out.
she was terrible.
The lights are out for Sokola.
Right off the apron.
They fought him before the game to fall. He didn't
Comes out
resist.
on top in this tag
He
team
walked
match.
to the ground. He smiled and said, "It's
Here are
over.
your winners.
My son told me."
The team up.
Inside his pockets, they found the scraps of paper again. The same scrawled handwriting. The same obsession. 7 names. Only 3 crossed out. For the detectives who saw him that night, there was nothing extraordinary about him. No rage, no guilt. Just a man emptied of everything human. The killings were over. But for Sydney, and for the people who survived him, the nightmare was only beginning.
The bell rings. The bloodline will surely be looking to run roughshod in this match. That pack. There's a kick and black mass. Lights out.
Feeling like it's over for Sokola.
This could be it.
And that's it. Scores the win for the team. It's hooked in deep.
Didn't beg. He just looked at them with the calm of a man who thought his mission was complete. It was early morning when the car pulled into the police station. Reporters were already gathering outside, their breath fogging in the cold air. Inside, the detectives could hardly believe what they were seeing. The man they had hunted for weeks, the ghost behind 3 senseless killings, didn't look like a monster. He looked ordinary. Archie was pale, quiet, almost polite. When an officer
The bloodline looks as menacing as ever as they prepare to establish their dominance once again inside the ring.
The latest incarnation of the bloodline only has one motive: total destruction. Doesn't matter who you are, you will come to respect the bloodline.
It's a savage approach, but the bloodline has certainly become one of the most feared factions we've ever seen.
And we are coming to you from the always fun Heat.
There's a kick and black mass. Lights out. Does that close it out for Black? Sweat goes to the cover. Shoulders are down.
You understand what he did.
Scores the win. What a great team. It's hooked in deep.
The detective frowned.
Here are
Your
your
son's
winners.
dead, Archie.
The
Archie
team
smiled
up.
faintly. Not to me. The words hung in the air like a chill. From that moment, the detectives realized this case wasn't going to be about motive. It was going to be about madness. For hours, they spoke to him. He was calm, clear, even articulate. He described each killing with precise detail. The roads, the time, the way the victims fell. But there was no emotion.
Ice in their veins, that's perhaps the only way to describe this version of the bloodline. Cole, there's a kick and black mass. Lights out. That's one hell of an exclamation. Yeah, you know what the fuck is it?
It told him what to do. It was ready. He said,
Got it. What a match and what a great team.
When asked why 7 lives,
Here are your winners.
Archie looked up as if surprised he didn't already know. 7 souls, he said, for the one that was taken. Detectives exchanged glances. Some thought he was faking, trying to plead insanity. Others weren't so sure. There was something too consistent, too sincere in the way he spoke. At one point, they asked if he knew what he'd done was wrong. He paused, then said, "You wouldn't punish a man for saving his child." It was the kind of logic that made
The
no
bloodline
sense.
looks as menacing as ever
Yet,
as they prepare to
in his
establish their
mind,
dominance
it
once
made
again.
perfect sense.
There's a kick and black mass. Lights out.
Signed, sealed, and delivered.
Now attacks the cover. Can he keep him down?
Got it. Big time tag team win. It's hooked in deep.
Captured the public's fear.
Here are your winners.
The idea that this man was something beyond reason. In the days that followed, The story dominated Sydney. Newspapers printed grainy photos of Archie being led from the police van, head bowed, flanked by officers. Talkback radio debated whether he was insane or just evil. At the same time, psychologists began to study him. They found a man who'd been broken long before the murders. Childhood trauma, poverty, isolation.
The bell rings. The Bloodline will surely be looking to run roughshod in this match. That pack. There's a kick and Black Mass.
That's going to keep Sikoa down. Into the cover for the win. And it's over. Big tag team win there. It's hooked and deep.
Pretending to hear voices.
Here are your winners.
Inside the jail, Archie seemed at peace. Guards said he followed every rule, never caused trouble. He read the Bible daily and spent hours staring at the ceiling, whispering. Sometimes he'd smile suddenly, as if someone had just told him a joke only he could hear. Helen Moore was arrested too. Though she never pulled the trigger, she had been there, a witness to madness, caught between fear and devotion.
The bell rings. The Bloodline will surely be looking to run roughshod in this match. That pack.
There's
a kick and Black Mass. That's got to be the end right there.
He believed it
Makes the pin. This might be it. And keeps his partner.
Like the person who he was going to.
Wyatt's got the claw.
During the pre-trial,
There's a kick and Black Mass.
Lights out. Deep breath. Just for the emptiness.
There's two.
Comes out on top in this tag team match.
Here are your winners. The team of Aleister Black, Bray Wyatt, and
Illness and intention, where belief becomes reality and reason no longer applies. When the trial began, the courtroom was packed. The families of the victims sat quietly in the front row, their faces drawn tight with anger and disbelief. Archie sat at the defense table, eyes lowered, hands clasped like a man in prayer. The prosecution painted him as a manipulator. Someone
Ice in their veins. That's perhaps the only way to describe this version of the Bloodline. Cole. There's a kick.
Will that be the deciding factor?
He's got it down.
Wyatt's got the claw hooked.
Turn out the lights. The party's over. Looking like they're trying to brought this to a close.
And they score the win. What a tag match.
The psychiatrist was asked whether Archie knew what he was doing was wrong.
here are your winners.
The doctor hesitated.
The team of
He knew he was killing people, he said finally, but he believed it was the right thing to do. That distinction, knowing but believing, became the heart of the case. In the end, the jury found him guilty. The judge sentenced him to life in prison, saying the crimes were cold, deliberate, and beyond comprehension. Seemed like when the verdict was read, Archie didn't react. He just whispered.
The Bloodline looks as menacing as ever as they prepare to establish their dominance once again. And there's a kick and lights out. The lights are off for Sikoa. He wants to end this.
Got it. There's the winners of the tag match. It's hooked and deep.
He said,
here are your winners.
I don't think he's evil.
The team
I
of
think he's empty. There's a difference. Inside the walls of Long Bay Prison, Archie became an enigma. Some inmates feared him, others mocked him. But he rarely spoke. He kept to himself, reading, praying, listening. God said he'd sometimes wake in the night screaming a single word. 7. For the people of Sydney, the trial ended the story, but not the fear.
The bell rings. The Bloodline will surely be looking to run roughshod in this match. That pack. There's a kick. It's Black Mass. Lights out.
He's got it.
Shoulder down.
Is this it? Got it. What a tag match we just saw. It's hooked and deep.
here are your winners. The team of Aleister Black, Bray Wyatt, and
Dog. The man who killed for voices only he could hear was safely locked away. But for Archie, prison was not punishment. It was peace. He told the guard on his first night, "The voices are quieter here." The guards didn't.
Alright guys, we're going to end it
He
there.
wasn't
My
violent.
throat is
He
killing
didn't
and I've got
swear
the
or
headache
cause
from
trouble.
hell, but
He
I
ate his
might
meals
be back a
slowly,
bit later on.